I have a new computer to show you today. I bought the Mac Studio, the Studio Display, and the accessories. Today we're going to unbox this, set it up, and do a little review. So let's get started. We're going to start with the Studio Display, and in typical Apple fashion, they have a little pull tab here. We're going to pull that, and then we're going to turn it over and lift up the box. And there is your Mac Studio. Now, the Apple people do such a good job of creating stuff. We'll first have the information packet, and then you just pull these little things apart. The box comes open, and you can lift out, oh, that's heavy, lift out the Mac Studio. Inside the box is the power cord that's nicely wrapped up. Let's put the box aside and see what else we got going on here. In the little packet of information, we've got, if I can open it, the Mac Studio information, other information, and a black Apple sticker, one big one. We'll set that aside. We also have the power cord, which is a really nicely done power cord. It is braided, which is really nice. Oops. Which is really nice braided and a good length. We have that. And then we have the actual Mac Studio. Now, we're going to peel this apart like that. And this nice cloth paper comes right off. And here's the Mac Studio. So cool, but man, this thing is heavy. Now let's talk about this just for a minute. Let's start on the back and look at the ports. You've got 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an Ethernet, 10 gigabit Ethernet jack, the power port, 2 USB A's, an HDMI 2.0, and a headphone jack that is good for high impedance headphones, and the power button. On the front, you have 2 more USB 4 ports and an SD card slot, which is perfect to have these ports on the front. Now, I say that these are Thunderbolt 4 ports because I got the M1 Ultra chip inside this. And there you go. There is the Mac Studio. Can't wait to put it together. And now for the new Apple Studio Display. As usual, Apple has a little tab pull thing here. So we're going to pull that first. Then we're going to lay this down and open the box. As usual, Apple has great boxes, and they have the little arrows to pull this open. So we're going to pull this open, and look at that, pops up. And we're going to take out the display. In the box, we have our information and I believe the cable. Let's move the box and we'll get to that. First, let's look at the accessory box. It says to pull. And when you open it up, you've got your information on the inside with the Studio Display information, the other information, and 2 black Apple stickers. I know I'll use those. I know, I bet some people don't use their stickers at all, but I actually stick them on things. Put that back in there. Well, whatever. And then we have the included, which is great, USB 3 cable, just long enough to go from your computer to the display. I'll set that stuff aside. And let's look at this display. On the back side, they have this attachment here you can take off. And what you have on the in here is the rest of the power cable for the display. Another good length cord. Move that. And you can also, what we're going to do this next is remove this, I don't know, I keep calling it like a fabric paper because it feels like that. And then lift this up to expose the new display. And on the back, the ports, we've got 3 USB-C ports and 1 Thunderbolt 4 port to connect to the computer. And a beautiful display. Now this is a 27-inch display. It's kind of like the last iMac that they released. The screen is pretty much the same screen, except it's got 600 nits of brightness. Now they've got a pull tab here somewhere right here, and you can pull this right off. Isn't that beautiful? So that is the Studio display. Let's do the accessories next. Apple created a new keyboard, mouse, and trackpad that has black on silver, but I didn't really care for those, so I got the regular Magic keyboard with the Touch ID and the regular Magic trackpad. So let's open that up, pull this little tab. I believe, plastic off first. Then we pull the tab, and out comes the trackpad. Pull this paper off. And we have, which I did not realize it came with, is a charging cord, USB-C to Lightning, and some information. No stickers, of course. So we'll put that aside and move on to the keyboard. I think that's great that comes with a cord. Same for the keyboard. We should tear off the plastic. You slide it right out. And there is the keyboard. Lift it up, and yep, there's a charging cord and the information. Plastic off. And you'll notice that right here is the Touch ID. So I'll be able to use that to do Apple Pay and things like that, and to log in and stuff like that. So now that we've got the accessories, the Mac Studio, and the display ready, let's set it up and get it started. Okay, we're going to start with the Mac Studio. We're going to turn it around and plug in the power. And put the cord over there so you can plug it in. And I'm also going to plug in the Ethernet so that I have great connection. All right. There we go. Let's put that there. And now for the Studio display, we'll put that power cord down there too. Then we're going to plug in the USB 3, I guess it doesn't matter which one, and then plug it into the back of the display into the USB 4 port. We will do the keyboard and the mouse, the trackpad, and turn those on because they usually have a little bit of charge. And then let's turn on the Mac Studio. So it's been a couple hours, and I've gone through the whole setup process and updated the system software, and the Mac Studio is all set up and ready to go. First of all, you can see my old iMac there and the Studio display here. You can compare the screen. The iMac looks a lot bigger, but it's really not. The actual screen size is the same as the iMac. Now, in terms of speed, this thing is lightning fast with pretty much everything you do. But I'll tell you, I really noticed it when I was playing around with Final Cut Pro and importing some video and exporting some video, and with the high level of GPUs on the Mac Studio, this thing just flew. It just flew through the Final Cut Pro stuff. I don't have anything set up now to show, but trust me, it went really fast. The other thing that I thought was really interesting too is that fact that these ports on the front are at this level, at the Mac Studio Ultra, or the Mac M1, the M1 Ultra chip, is that these two ports in the front are Thunderbolt 4 ports. Now I have a OWC Envoy Express external SSD drive, and I use this for my backup drive. And yesterday, before I installed system software on here, I did a backup of the iMac, and then I plugged this into the front of the Mac Studio, and almost 2 terabytes of information transferred to the Mac Studio in about 32 minutes. And I just find that shocking. That was so fast. If I were to do that over, because if you use Migration Assistant, it takes forever because it wants to do it over Wi-Fi. And it was actually going to say that it was going to take 63 hours. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I went ahead and did it with this, and it only took like 32 minutes. Super fast. So when I think about the comparison of the Mac Studio and the iMac, now this iMac is actually top of the line iMac with the i9 chip in it, and it's from 2020. So the comparisons are pretty good. However, the Mac Studio is so much faster. With certain things, especially anything with the video, man, this thing just flies with the video. Now, the power of this Mac Studio is probably way more than I need, because I've got the M1 Ultra chip with 64 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabyte SSD. If I wanted to change one thing, I would switch and get a higher internal storage, maybe the 4 terabyte or even the 8 terabyte, but I didn't do that because it's expensive. Now also too, with the Studio Display, the speakers are really good. Now I do have a little example to set up for you here. I'm using the audio library on YouTube, so I won't get any strikes. But if I turn up the speakers a little bit, so you can hear this and play this one song. That's pretty good. Anyway, it's got some nice bass and some midtones. I think it's a really good stereo speaker setup. And this is an example of the built-in camera and the microphones on the Studio Display. You can see there's a lot of noise on this recording, and Apple knows that there's an issue with it, and they are working on a fix. But everyone who has posted a video on YouTube talking about the Studio Display has complained about this camera, and I actually have to agree with them. I think it's horrible for being a brand new camera, and it should be 1080p clear, shouldn't be seeing all this noise. So as you can tell from that example, the camera in the Studio Display needs some work. Apple has admitted that there's an issue with the camera inside, because what you see is very noisy and pixelated almost. Well, Apple says a fix is coming through software, so the issue is known about. I think the microphones are okay, but I wouldn't use them to record anything like a podcast or voiceover or anything like that. But I think overall, this is a really good system. I really like the Touch ID on the keyboard. I really like the colors on the display, the speakers, and the speed of this thing is just amazing. So if you're in the market for a new computer, you might want to consider the Mac Studio, but I think you don't need the Ultra chip. You could probably do well with the M1 Max chip. Something to consider. Okay, so that's all I have to say about the Mac Studio and the Mac Studio, not Mac Studio Display, the Studio Display. I keep getting that wrong. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thank you for subscribing and clicking the like button. I appreciate it, and until the next time, bye.